What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the world according to Briggs. Let's talk about taxes, or at least states that don't have an income tax. In case you don't know, there are 9 US states that don't charge income tax, and that's a good thing in most people's opinion. The people that don't think this is a good thing are usually politicians and some people that are kind of ill-informed. I shouldn't say ill-informed, they just have some opinions that might not be correct. I'll explain. There are a lot of myths about this tax, or lack of tax. The first one is these are all the poorest states. Not always. 4 of the top 10 states with the strongest economic outlook do not charge an income tax. The second myth is they don't have any money to put into things the state needs like schools, police, infrastructure. Not always. But 2 states on this list put the least amount per capita into schools, and one has an infrastructure grade of F, and they're one of the states that put the least per capita into infrastructure. The third myth is that they'll just get you other places. They'll have higher taxes here, there, and just make up for the lack of income tax. Sometimes that's true, but not always. What I learned while researching this and actually talking to a tax man, no state income tax really helps lower, middle class, and blue-collar workers the most. But if you are thinking about moving to one of these states to lower your tax bill, definitely talk to a tax professional before you do. Make sure you aren't getting screwed someplace else. All right, let's take a look at the states. Number 9, Wyoming. There are many reasons to move to Wyoming these days, and no state income tax is at the top of the list for a lot of different people. And for other people, the fact that they'll never have a Real Housewives spin-off in Wyoming is another reason. Wyoming falls under the category of very tax-friendly overall, not just income tax. Besides no state income tax, their sales tax is only 4.3%, but local municipalities can add up to 2%, giving them about 5.39% on average. Groceries are exempt, and so is prescription drugs. When it comes to property tax, I'm not going to get into all the ins and outs. I'll just tell you that they are tied for the 10th lowest in the nation. There is no inheritance or estate tax in Wyoming. Bravo, Wyoming. Now if you just do something with your infrastructure, you'll be doing really good. Number 8, Washington State. I often think about moving to Washington State just because of the break on the income tax. I had my tax guy look at it and he said overall, I'll save a little money. Not really enough to actually go through the effort of moving over there. But that's my situation. Yours could be totally different, especially if you're working for a company and you don't own a company and things like that. That's why I say talk to a tax professional. But Washington still has a lot of good things going on here when it comes to taxes in general. Now, before I get into this one, I will tell you right now that they have some new taxes on investments and different things that are supposed to go into effect in 2022, but right now there are some court cases going on, so that's up in the air. That out of the way, let's talk about what's going on right now. They do have a sales tax of 6.5 at the state level, and municipalities can add up to 4%, which the average is about 9.2 statewide. Groceries are exempt, as are prescription drugs. Their property tax is about average for the rest of the US states. They do have some inheritance tax for things over like $2 million, and there's some other things about business, inheritance tax, things like that. Washington is still considered tax-friendly, but if some of these laws go through, it might be a little less tax-friendly. Number 7. Texas. You know, it's a good thing Texas doesn't have really high taxes, because Texas taxes, everyone would have 20 different lame jokes about Texas and taxes. So they're doing good to at least avoid that nightmare. They don't have a state income tax, which is good, but they have some sales tax issues. The national average for sales tax is 6.35%. Texas at the state level is 6.25%, but local municipalities can add up to 2% on there. This gives the state average 8.19% of sales tax. That's well above the national average. Groceries, though, and prescription drugs are exempt like so many other states. Texas property tax is tied for 7th in the nation, and there's no inheritance or estate tax in Texas. Number 6, Tennessee. Tennessee does not have a state income tax, but their sales tax is complicated. I won't get into it, but I will tell you it is the absolute highest in the nation. The state sales tax is 7%, and local municipalities can add up to 2.75%, and a lot of them do. Their state average is almost 10%. This is one of the states that actually taxes the groceries, 4%. Again, with additional local taxes, but prescription drugs are exempt, so that's a saving grace. Their property tax is below the national average, and inheritance and estate taxes, well, they had some before 2021, but that's no longer a thing. Number 5, South Dakota. The Mount Rushmore state doesn't charge a state income tax, and it shows when you look at their per pupil spending in this state. They actually spend half what each of the top 5 states do per student. South Dakota does have a sales tax of 4.5%, and the local municipalities can add their own 4.5% on top of that, which gives them an average of about 6.4% sales tax in the state of South Dakota. Their groceries are also taxed at that full rate of 6.4 on average. Their prescription drugs are exempt. If you want to move to South Dakota and buy some land, keep in mind the median property tax rate in this great state is well above the national average, but they don't have any form of inheritance or estate tax in South Dakota. I don't know what it is with South Dakota, but every time I bring them up in any video, I get a bunch of comments about how hot their governor is. She's an attractive lady, but I'm sure she's a lot more than just good looks. She's the governor of the frickin' state. Let it go. I don't know what that's all about every single time. There's a bunch of lonely dudes out there hoping that after she's done being the governor will start like an OnlyFans account or something. Weird out there. Number 4. New Hampshire. New Hampshire is one of the greatest states when it comes to taxes for the average Joe. I mean, blue collar, middle class, lower class, this is the place to live. They have no state income tax. They have no sales tax. Their property tax is kind of high, so if you're a renter, that's great. They have no inheritance tax, no estate tax. They do have taxes on dividends and investments and things like that, but as far as your paycheck, they leave that alone. Go to buy something, they leave that alone too. Buy a house, they're going to stick it to you. Number 3, Nevada. Nevada's economy is overwhelmingly based on tourism, especially the gambling and resort industries that are all centered around Las Vegas and Reno too a little bit. Gambling taxes are the primary source of state revenue in Nevada, so they don't need the locals to be forking over any of their income. They do have a state sales tax of 6.85%, and local municipalities can add 1.53% onto that, giving them an average combined rate of 8.23%. So that's where they stick it to you in Nevada. And really, that's about it. I mean, their groceries are exempt, so are their prescription drugs. Property taxes are one of the lowest in the nation, and there's no inheritance or estate tax in Nevada. Overall, it's a solid choice if you're looking to not pay much taxes. Number 2, Florida. There are a lot of reasons people move or retire to Florida. Sunshine, low taxes, and the need to see dudes rocking a mullet 30 years after they went out of style. A lot of that goes on in Florida, especially the central and northern part of the state. Big trucks and mullets, always a smart choice. Overall, Florida is one of the best states when it comes to taxes, obviously, because they're on this list. They have no state income tax. Now, they do have a sales tax of 6%, and local municipalities can add their own 2% on, making their combined average for the state 7.01%. Groceries exempt. Prescription drugs exempt. Property tax is about even with the national average, and there's no inheritance or estate tax. Bravo, Florida. All right, before we get to number 1, don't forget we have another channel called On This Day. There's a link down below. Go over there, check it out, subscribe, like, all that good stuff, just like you should do with this channel. All right, on to number 1. And number 1. Alaska. Alaska is definitely the most tax-friendly state we have. No state income tax, obviously. Alaska is one of only 5 states that has no sales or state income tax, but local municipalities can add their own sales tax up to 7.5%. The statewide average is only 1.76%, so it's not terrible. Alaska's property tax is about average, and there's no inheritance or estate tax in Alaska. But no state income tax is one thing, but Alaska actually pays you to live there. Yeah, it's not that much, and we've talked about it before, but people get anywhere from, I've seen years where it was as low as $600 on up to like $1,500. Somewhere around $1,000 is what it normally is each year. All right, everyone, have a great day. Be nice to each other.